Hi, this is Mahmood. Welcome to Art of Happy Life. Today, I want to talk a little bit about religion and spirituality. Is there a difference between religion and spirituality? Religion, in my opinion, represents a path which allows an individual to come closer to the divine. Holy scriptures, rituals, prayers, faith, and worship are all the basic principles of religion. Spirituality means to live each moment with the highest level of awareness. You have to constantly be aware of your karma, your actions, to live as a good human being. And ultimately, spirituality means to become aware of your spirit, that part of you that comes from the universal light. What are some of the reasons an individual would follow a religious tradition? To begin with, for some individuals, I believe it gives them the strength and courage to keep up with the daily challenges of life. Life on earth is a struggle. We have to struggle on a personal level, our health, our energy, at work, at school. Then we have financial struggles. We have to put a roof over our head, put some food on the table. We have to look after our family members, our children, our partners, our parents. For some individuals who live in certain countries where there is political and spiritual conflict, it can be life and death situations. So if you have faith in a higher power, you can take comfort in the fact that there's a divine power that is guiding you all the time, that is watching over you, that is sending you some strength. So believing in a religion allows you to have that courage and that strength to face the daily challenges of life. What are some of the other reasons that a person may be following a religious tradition? Well, essentially, I believe that religion gives you a form of discipline, a set of laws, some boundaries. There's a potential saint inside of all of us, and there's a potential devil inside of all of us. So ideally, in a perfect world, religion should inspire an individual to become a better human being, to cultivate those positive qualities within you and stay away from the negative choices. But unfortunately, sometimes religion can turn into a game of politics, a power struggle, and sometimes a venue for social events. There was a very profound question that was asked to the Dalai Lama. The Dalai Lama is the spiritual leader of Tibet. He's a Buddhist monk. So there's a Brazilian scholar who asked him this question, and the question was, which religion is the best religion in the world? So the Lama, in a very calm, compassionate way, with a smile, he said, whichever religion can bring you closest to God is the best religion. And then he made a very profound statement. He said, whichever religion makes you a better human being is the best religion in the world. And then he was asked, well, how do you become a good human being? So he said, by working on qualities such as compassion, humility, forgiveness, detachment, becoming a good humanitarian, so on and so forth. So essentially, the main objective of following a religious tradition is for you to become a better human being. So religion represents a path that allows an individual to come closer to the divine. Now this path can be broken down into two main branches, into two main components, the outer path and the inner path. The outer path is the path of scriptures, rituals, prayers, faith, and worship. It's the one that takes place in a temple, in a church, in a mosque, or a gurudwara, or basically in a temple. The inner path is the path of personal search, spiritual growth, and enlightenment. Essentially, every religion at the core is spiritual. The essence of every religion is spirituality. Every great prophet and enlightened master has talked about both these aspects, the outer path and the inner path. Within Islam, there is a small group that is known as the Sufis. Their focus is on the inner dimension, the spiritual dimension, the dimension of enlightenment. Prophet Muhammad is known as the first Sufi master. In addition to him giving knowledge that's based on the Islamic law, he also gave the hidden esoteric knowledge, the knowledge of enlightenment. There is a very famous saying of the Prophet where he says that I could not be contained within the heavens and I could not be contained within earth. And yet it is possible for me to be contained within the heart of a pure and truthful person. So here the Prophet is talking about the inner path. There is another verse in the Quran that says that God is closer to us than our jugular vein. Again, they are talking about the inner essence. They're talking about the inner path. There is a common phrase that the Sufis like to use. It's called die before your death. So here, they are talking about death of the ego, death of the mind, death of the physical consciousness so that the spiritual consciousness can be born. Approximately 2,000 years ago, there was a group known as the Essenes. Their focus was on the inner dimension, the path of spirituality, the path of enlightenment. It's the Essenes that planted the seeds of what today is known as Christianity. They are the forefathers of Christianity. There is one verse in the Bible which is referring to the inner path. And the verse says, seek for the kingdom of heaven within you. Not outside of you, but within you. This is referring to the inner path. There is another verse in the Bible that says, be still and know that I am God. That means only in stillness can you approach God. Only in stillness can you approach the divine. Stillness of the mind, stillness of the thoughts. This is referring to the inner path of going within. Within Judaism, there is a mystical tradition known as the Kabbalah. Their focus is also on the inner path. They have meditation techniques, visualization techniques that focus on the inner dimension. Moses went into the mountains searching for God. After 40 days, he returned from the mountains. He ends up seeing his companion, Joshua. So Joshua asked Moses, did you get answers to your question? Were you successful in finding God? Moses said, yes, I was successful. But now I have understood that God is spirit form and he lives inside the heart of each individual. So now Moses is talking about the inner path, the path of spirituality, the path of enlightenment. Approximately 5,000 years ago, in the ancient land of India, there was a wonderful dialogue taking place between a great enlightened master and a great disciple. The name of this great master is Krishna, and the name of the disciple is Arjun. And this wonderful dialogue eventually came to be known as the Gita. So the master is telling the disciple that my essence is in every aspect of this universe. I live in the plants, I live in the animals, I live in the humans, I live within the angels, I live in the heavens, I live on earth. I am everywhere. And then the master tells the disciple, I also live inside of your heart. So the master is trying to tell the disciple, when you want to look for me, go within. Look for me inside. So again, this great enlightened master is talking about the inner path. Now let's assume for a moment that you want to build a house. What is the very first thing you need to do? What is the most important component of building this new house? The most important component is the foundation. A house with a good foundation will last long. Everything depends on the foundation. So the foundation here represents the outer path. The path of knowledge, the path of rituals, faith, worship, going to the temple. It allows you to get a strong foundation. But let's assume for a moment that you build a strong foundation, but you don't build the rest of the house. By the rest of the house here, I mean use the foundation as a stepping stone and finish the rest of the house. What I'm referring to here is spirituality. So religion, the outer path, religion represents the foundation. You want to use that foundation as a stepping stone to go to the next level, the level of spirituality, the level of enlightenment. So the outer path, the path of the temple, rituals, and prayers, should eventually lead you into the inner path of enlightenment. So what good is a house, an unfinished house with a strong foundation? You can't use it, you can't live in it. It's of no use to you. So if we're working hard on the outer path and we're following all the religious principles, and we're not using that to go into the path of spirituality, then we're limiting our benefits. Because essentially every religion at the core is spiritual. The essence of every religion is spirituality. So now we're trying to build the house of enlightenment inside of our heart. Following the outer path gives us a good foundation. But if we don't use this foundation to finish the rest of the house, and if we don't go towards spirituality or enlightenment, then the house of enlightenment can never be built. So religion should eventually lead you into spirituality. The reason you go to the outer temple is so that one day it'll take you into the inner temple. The reason you're following the outer path, so one day it'll take you into the inner path. So you want to build the temple of God inside of you. You start with a strong foundation, but then you have to finish it with spirituality. So for those of us that belong to a religious tradition, there are two important questions that we need to ask ourselves. Number one, am I becoming a better human being? And number two, am I on the path of spiritual enlightenment? These are the two questions that we need to ask ourselves. At this point, there's another question that comes up. Do you have to follow a religious tradition to go towards spiritual enlightenment? Is it only through a religious following that you can go into enlightenment? And the answer to that question, in my opinion, is no. The path of spiritual enlightenment is available to everyone, regardless of whether you belong to a religious tradition or not. That path of spirituality and enlightenment is available to every single one of us on the planet. But there are two essential requirements for us to go on that path. The first one is you have to be a good human being. And the second one is you have to follow the inner path. Now, what are some of the tools of the inner path? The most important tool is meditation. Meditation allows you to go within. Meditation allows you to communicate with the divine within. This is the most important tool of the inner path. In a span of 24 hours a day, we need to give ourselves 15 minutes to a half an hour where we need to detach ourselves from the world. Detach yourself from your work, detach yourself from your family, detach yourself from your computers, and your iPhones, go into an empty place in your house and sit in silence for a half an hour. Try to go within. This is essential. The only part of you that is eternal is your soul. Our money, our degrees, our house, our cars, our family, nothing is going to come with us. The only thing that's going to come with us is our spirit, our soul. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with working hard and being successful and being prosperous. By all means, go ahead and do that. But if you become over-attached to material things and forget about the spirit, then we need to make a change. In the end, that's not a very wise thing to do. So you want to keep a balance between the both. So the inner path depends on the path of silence and the path of meditation. There is another wonderful technique that you can use that allows you to go towards the inner path. It's called healing. When you learn how to do healing, you first become aware of the universal energy around you. You can call it universal energy, you can call it universal light, you can call it the light of God. It doesn't matter. It's referring to one and the same power. That one source of power that keeps creation alive, that keeps us going. That part of God that we come from. So we can refer to it as universal energy. So when you're doing healing, you become aware of the universal energy around you, become of the spiritual energy within you, and then let that universal energy flow into you. Then you can use this energy to heal yourself, or you can use this energy to heal others. You can send this wonderful energy wherever you want to go. But healing allows you to get in touch with the higher spiritual energy. So that's a wonderful way to go into the inner path. So all the great prophets and all the great enlightened masters are saying that every atom, every molecule, every aspect of this world and this universe is resonating with the light of God. Every prophet, every enlightened master has talked about that the light of God is everywhere. Enlightened masters have also told us that God is within us too. So if that's the case, if God is all around us, and if God is within us, how come we are not aware of this God? How come we are not aware of this universal light, this divinity? The reason for that is that there's a curtain of the mind, because of the curtain of the intellect, curtain of our thoughts. So when you go into meditation, you want to separate yourself from the mind. Separate yourself from the thoughts. And it's during this separation, it's during this gap, during this distance, that you have the best chances of becoming conscious of the spiritual energy, of the divine energy. That's why it's very necessary to spend at least a half an hour a day sitting in silence. So if you want to go towards the path of spirituality, you can. But the two essential requirements are, you need to be a good human being, and you need to focus on the inner path. You have to use tools like meditation. Today there's a lot of talk about meditation, and there are many different methods out there. You can use the art of witnessing, mindfulness, you can focus on the chakras, the energy centers, visualization techniques, you can focus on the breath. There's Buddhist techniques out there, there's Zen Buddhist techniques out there, there's Sufi techniques. It doesn't matter which technique you use. These are just different methods that allow you to go towards the one and the same essence. So you can use any one of these range of techniques, but they're all taking you towards the same destination. Use the technique, in my opinion, that's the most simple and the most comfortable. Because when you're meditating, the more comfortable you are, the more relaxed you are, the better your chances of focusing, the better your chances of experiencing that consciousness. But if you're straining yourself and if you're doing complicated positions or complicated methods, then that can hinder your progress. So the more simple and the more relaxed you are, the better the benefits, the better the results. And meditation is nothing difficult. Meditation originally comes from the word dhyan. It's a Sanskrit word dhyan, which means awareness or consciousness. When this word traveled to China, it became Chen. And then when it traveled from China to Japan, it became Zen. And then it has other names as well. But essentially, the origins of this word come from the Sanskrit word dhyan. So, religion should eventually lead you into spirituality. That's the whole point. The core of every religion is spirituality. The essence of every religion is spirituality. And if you don't belong to a religious tradition, that path is available to you as well. It's available to everyone. But you have to be a good human being, and you have to focus on the inner path of spirituality. So this brings us to the end of our discussion. Wishing you all the best, and hopefully we'll see you again. Take care.